New at 6, a Defender's investigation into your safety in the sky. Tonight, our team digging into the number of emergency landings at Charlotte Douglas Airport.
And we found you're more likely to deal with the frightening experience on some airlines over others. Airport records show 133 emergency landings in 2016 and 170 in 2017. That's roughly one emergency landing every other day.
NBC's Defender Alex Shabbat has been digging through the data for several months now. Alex, this is something no one ever wants to experience.
That's right, Fred. And when we looked at the data, one airline really caught our attention for emergency landings, and many of you have flown on it without even knowing it. August 15th, 2018, cell phone video gave us a glimpse of the frightening scene in the sky.
We had an engine number 2 stall on takeoff.
The pilot for American Airlines Flight 1668 declaring an emergency shortly after takeoff.
If we didn't say it already, declared emergency for 36 Center.
But we found American Airlines had a far lower rate of emergency landings than its regional carrier, PSA Airlines. Our Defenders team went through airport data for 2017. Out of roughly 105,000 arrivals, American Airlines had at least 43 emergency landings. That's compared to 48 emergency landings for PSA, even with about 12,000 fewer arrivals.
I was a little surprised to hear the sheer numbers.
And that's from a pilot himself. Dr. Jerry Hill is also a UNCC professor of mechanical engineering. We showed him our data and some of the reasons for the emergency landings. That ranges from blown tires to cracked windshields. And records show on November 12, 2017, fumes in the cockpit sent 4 crew members to the hospital.
That's one of my biggest fears is fire. And I think any pilot would probably tell you the same thing.
We did the math for several airlines at Charlotte Douglas, and here's what we found. For American Airlines, we found about 1 emergency landing for every 2,400 arrivals. For PSA, 1 for every 1,900 landings. We also checked on Delta and United, which have far fewer overall flights. Delta had at least 3 emergency landings for about 6,000 arrivals, which is about 1 in 2,000. And for United, we found 1 emergency landing for roughly 1,300 arrivals.
If you consider the sheer amount of flying that those guys do, I guess it's to be expected that there are going to be some issues.
Fortunately, almost all of the planes land safely, and of course many of the issues end up being relatively minor. Plus, Hill says pilot training and airplane engineering is better than ever.
Airliners these days are way more dependable and free from defects and engine problems.
Thankfully, the passengers aboard this flight landed safely and now have a story to tell about it. And we got a statement from PSA Airlines I want to read you. It reads in part, the majority of our emergency declarations in Charlotte are not a safety of flight issue and are attributed to false indications on our aircraft that only require a system reset. When these events arise, we follow standard FAA protocol and our pilots are trained to create the largest margin of safety. This is a story we will continue to follow. For now, I'm live at Charlotte Douglas. Alex Shabbat, NBC Charlotte.
Alex, thank you for that reporting.